Welcome to a short presentation about our new handwriting assessment pack. We have created this here at CATS to support our school staff to try and unpick the sort of issues that may be behind some of our students struggling with handwriting. The handwriting pack is designed for primary, secondary and special school students, and what we're looking at is an observation pack. This can also be used by families and carers as well. The most recent statistics around handwriting and pupil engagement are really quite concerning, and that's really without the pandemic added in the picture. So just a really simple sort of 3 facts to take back to your school are: between 30 and 60% of every classroom activity requires fine motor input. So if you imagine you're the SEN student, or even just the student who has just a particular dysgraphic handwriting challenge, that's a large proportion of every lesson. That's an added challenge on top of understanding the input that you need to do. If we look at the facts around boys, it's very clear that up to 27% of boys will be identified at some stage during their school career as having a handwriting difficulty. And then really recently, the Literacy Trust completed a survey around sort of writing engagement for students. And the statistics that came back were only 1 in 3 students report they enjoy writing. They generally do a similar survey each year, and this is the lowest figure reported to date. So when we're planning a handwriting intervention or a fine motor intervention, we need to make sure it's purposeful. We also need to make sure that in schools where we're time and staff poor frequently, that we use the time properly. Just working on activities to develop pincer grip and hand strength are unlikely to be sufficient. And also our experience from working in schools tells us that actually students get very, very bored as well. So handwriting difficulties are generally linked to visual perception, fine motor coordination, visual motor integration. So that's the sort of tasks like the ability to be able to complete a maze, copy letters, find the odd one out. And then last but not least, cognitive planning. So when you're planning a handwriting intervention in school, it should not just focus on fine motor. There should be a visual motor and visual integration activities planned alongside. And so some of the activity sheets that we have look closely at things like visual perception. Don't ignore those, because they can be often really significant drivers in the underlying needs that a student may have. So before we get started, it's really important to outline why this pack was designed. It was designed really to support our school staff and also families and carers alike. Many people contact us and ask for assessment or ideas to help children who are having a challenge with handwriting. For students that have really complex needs, they will have an occupational therapist involved, and this pack is not designed to replace this. It's designed to supplement the OT role. Also, for those students that maybe don't have quite such complex needs, there's some really clear advice to enable either families or school staff to trial techniques and approaches to see whether it would help and support their student. Currently at the moment we're running a PD Ambassador scheme in Redbridge, and we're providing free staff for Redbridge staff in schools, and we are enabling staff to learn new skills, and we will visit out in schools to make sure that the skills are being used appropriately. So this resource has been designed for staff. We would like people to observe behaviours and challenges, and then from those direct observation there should be a range of strategies and ideas for you to try. The pack is extensive. The pack in total is 19 pages or 19 documents large. So we've placed them on our resource website, and if you see the two links below, they are the areas that you can download each of the packs individually. This means that you can download the observation sheet as many times as you like, and you can also download some of the advice support sheets and give them to parents and carers. Our resource website is called redbridgecirc.org, and once in the Redbridge Circ website you need to click on the dark pink box and that will take you to the resource page. If you scroll to the middle of the section you'll see Fine Motor, and this is where you'll find the handwriting observation packs. So, how to get started? The first thing you need to do is download your observation checklist. And as you can see from the presentation, the link's on there. It's also, as you go in the resource area, it's the first document you find. Then take the observation checklist and go and observe the student in class. Maybe talk to the class teacher, other staff in the classroom, and also the family as well. Then, using the observation sheet, note any key skills that the student appears to be struggling with. What you will notice after that is there are some colour codes, some different numbers. Each number and colour code relates to a particular support handout sheet for you. So if you see the number 1, that would indicate that we feel it's worth exploring some of the activities that support postural strength. And then you're free to download the supporting documents and the handout sheets. What we would like you to do is, once you've identified some key areas of need, download the documents. You will have a range of ideas, sometimes maybe 20, 30 on each sheet, but the idea is for you to tweak with equipment, tweak with positioning, and maybe try some different activities as well. And then, as we would do always with any intervention, we would assess, then we would review the impact after a short period of time. For the maximum effect, it's ideal to ask the families to work on the same target at the same time. Here you'll see the top part of the observation sheet, and as you can see there's just some basic statements that outline observations that you may see when you're observing in class. So for example, is the student able to sit well in the chair? If they are, then just simply tick no difficulty or maybe slight difficulty. If you're ticking the box lots of difficulty, so the student's sort of up and down off the seat, or maybe laying or propping on the desk, or hanging off or holding on to their chair, then I would recommend that what you do is then download the corresponding sheets that are linked to number 1, 2, 3 and 4. Equally, if you're watching a young student write and you're seeing them trace over some very simple lines and shapes, if you're observing them having difficulty with this task, then we are suggesting that handout 7, 8 and 11 would be appropriate for you to look at. So what we've tried to do is almost give you a crib sheet that are linked to certain challenges that a student may face. We know from research that handwriting challenges are developmental, so there isn't an age limit on this. If a student is having a challenge with some of these skills, then it's about unpicking the particular challenge they're having and making sure that the support is targeted. We quite often see students who are struggling with handwriting asked to copy over patterns, do more of the same, or even have just a very basic fine motor box. Again, when we unpick some of the issues behind why handwriting is a challenge for many students, it's considerably more complex than either hand strength or just practice. So we've tried to outline some of the different areas that we would consider when we came in and assessed. So just to talk you through an example, if you've gone into a class and observed a secondary school student who is laying on the table, complaining their hand hurts, complaining they're tired, propping on their student next to them, then it's probably quite justifiable that you would tick that they appear to be having lots of difficulty sitting well and handwriting. So as you can see, the first 4 sheets for that scenario would be 1, 2, 3 and 4. And what you would do next is you would go to the sections and download each of those handout packs. As you can see, these are just screenshots of the handout packs that you download, but we are looking at things to consider. So you can see core, shoulder and postural strength activities, things to consider in your environment, small changes that you could make that maybe would improve things for students. Also for students who have a sensory profile, what could you do to either calm them down or wake them up? And then last but not least, we're also adding balance activities with this scenario. So as you can see, you have a wealth of information to be able to give to parents and take different aspects and trial in class. At CATS, we are passionate about empowering and training staff in our schools. We are a very, very large specialist service based in East London, and we are very proud that we are a big multidisciplinary team. However, really our aim is to make sure that the knowledge doesn't sit with our specialist staff, that our school staff know the basic tier 1 and tier 2 type interventions, and they can call upon us if they need more specialist support or with the very complex students. So our new scheme looks at something called PD Redbridge Ambassadors, and we are going to provide training every half term. So that's 6 sessions over the year. With that, students will be able to access PDNet, which is DFE training, level 1 and level 2. With the pack that we've just talked through, we have dedicated staff that can come out into schools, make sure you're using it correctly, and maybe model if you've got stuck on a particular aspect. We are looking to build peer support and a network. Our most recent session had over 70 staff on the call, and our aim is to create maybe a virtual room or Padlet world where people can share successes and maybe ask each other for help. The other thing that we will do if you're a PD ambassador is that you will have early access to the resources and the training that we are generally creating in an ongoing fashion. If you've missed the opportunity to join and you'd like to join us, then please email our generic CATS address. So just a reminder, if you want to download all the packs and the observation sheet, you just simply need to go to redbridgecert.org, and as you can see, the links on the page. Once you're in the resource section, as the picture shows, you just need to click on the handwriting observation, support and intervention ideas. Once through that link, all the individual pages can be downloaded separately. As always, with any CATS presentation, if you have any queries, please drop us a line and one of us will be back in touch to support you. Just for those who are on the PD Ambassador scheme, session 2 will be after half term, and we will be looking at individual fine motor assessment. Now this is much more detailed than the observation pack, so we're going to teach you 10 different activities that you can do with a student and what that means and what to do about it. We're also going to look at what you should be carrying in a toolkit as somebody who's going to be a PD ambassador for your school. The toolkit will have very strange items, things like pegs and wind-up toys, but we're going through what would be a very basic toolkit for you to have. And then last but not least, we are then going to split into 3 separate groups: primary, secondary and special and ARP groups, and we're going to then look about how you begin to build intervention groups and activities. We're splitting up because what you would do at secondary will be quite different to primary, and also special and sort of hub-based groups may need something more targeted. So that's the outline of session 2, and again, if you'd like to join us, please drop us a line.